But black women are, exponentially a higher oppressed and violated group of people, like just in comparison to the whole world, you know? Maybe I didn't care because I didn't value the accusers' stories, like, because they were black women, because, like, you know, usually, like, niggas that get in trouble for shit like this on their magnitude of celebrity, it's light-skinned women or white women.
First of all, I would like to say Happy New Year to everybody from 26 and Glencoe Media Network. I am one of your hosts, Marcus Flowers, aka Flo, aka One Marcus Flowers on all social media platforms, aka Call Me What You Want, just don't call me lazy. And I'm joined by the one and the only.
Yo, y'all know who it is. Metro Meta, the one who rises above, wild magic out here. Happy 2019 to, we need a name for our fans, Marcus.
Let's just call them kinfolk for now. So we are all family at 26 in Glencoe. We are a culture, we are a society, everybody is accepted. So everybody is kinfolk, everybody's cousins, relatives, things like that.
All right.
All right, but before we begin, just real quick, how's your first week of the new year been?
Pretty good. I got some interesting things in the pipeline and just working and chilling.
Dope, man, dope, man. That's what's up. So, let's just stop wasting time. It's been about a month. We've actually took I want to say 2 months off of the Super Flow, bro, just because you had finals and I had stuff with work, and it was the holidays, and we just wanted to enjoy, just like our time away. So we had to take some time to refresh, but we are back and we're feeling energized. So let's just jump right in. Do you know about this Kevin Hart and Ellen DeGeneres interview? Did you happen to watch it?
I didn't watch it, but I saw it blow up on Twitter. I was reading all the comments. It was quite interesting.
So what I find, well, if you guys don't know, so Kevin Hart was if we're gonna rewind even more, Kevin Hart about a decade ago. Yeah, about a decade ago, when he was still bubbling and trying to make it as a comedian, he said a few homophobic and transphobic tweets, and as like a way to launch his comedy career. And last, I want to say November, he was announced as the host of the Academy Awards. And as he was as like what always happens when people like get more notoriety, people search their tweets from their past and see what problematic content that they had. And of course, he had those tweets that were already there that everybody knew was there. But he just they told him to apologize. He said, "No, I'm not apologizing. Forget y'all. I already apologized that for the past." Then he kind of apologized. But the interesting wrinkle now, not a wrinkle, the second chapter of the story is that he was a guest on the Ellen DeGeneres show, and Ellen DeGeneres said she called the Academy and they want him back as host of the Academy Awards. On the show, Hart said he was pretty mum about it, but a Variety article after the interview, he said that he was not going to do the Academy Awards. And he also, but during the conversation, Kevin Hart said that he didn't make it about his content. he made it about people were trying to attack him and they were trolls and they just didn't want to see him succeed in life. And interesting, Don Lemon, who works for CNN, he came out against Hart and he said, apologizing and moving on does not make the world a better place for people who are gay or people who are transgender. Being an ally does. So yeah, and so he continued. We need to talk about how people who messed up can become allies as well, because apologizing and moving on does not make the world a better place for people who are gay or transgender. So Kevin Hart responded on his Instagram, of course, with the iPhone text, and he said, basketball players aren't great until they learn how to play the game correctly. Teachers are great teachers when they learn how to get through to kids correctly. Architects become great at their job when they learn how to build correctly. CEOs are not great until they learn how to run a business correctly. A fireman is not a great fireman until he learns how to fight fires correctly. A doctor is not great at their job in the beginning. He/she have to learn how to be great. A news anchor or a journalist does not start at the top. They have to learn and develop to be great at their job. So he put a caption. When do we get to the point when we forgot that we all learned that we all have the ability to grow? And with that growth comes a wealth of knowledge. You can't change without an understanding of what growth means. Hashtag message. Hashtag live, love, laugh. Hashtag happy Saturday. Please grasp this and use it in 2019. So how do you feel about everything, Morgan?
Honestly, from looking at both sides of it, I see how both sides are coming from it, but I'm sort of, at this point, I'm leaning towards like Kevin Hart, because as much as the gay community tries and asks and looks for allies, it seems like they seem to push people away. And again, this happened with the same thing as James Gunn when they went into his past and they said, "Look at these tweets, look at what he said." And it goes back to one of my favorite producers, one of my favorite artists out there, Bernie Burns on Rooster Teeth, and he said, "When I'm looking back in my past, there are certain jokes we used to make that I wouldn't make now." And when you're talking about like Kevin Hart and artists like that, there are jokes that they said in the past that they wouldn't say now, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to spend the rest of their lives apologizing about it or going back and making sure everybody feels okay with everything.
Well, I just respectfully disagree, just because Kevin Hart on his way, like what you said, what was said what the content that you used 10 years ago obviously isn't the content that's going to make you relevant now, but you still have to atone for those for your past actions, regardless of how long of a history that you have. Like you're always going to have to atone and say, "Hey, I messed up. I did this." Like just because apologizing is one thing, but Kevin Hart doesn't show that he has grown from the man he was 10 years ago. He's still.
How would you show that, Marcus?
Okay, this is simple. For simple fact, for a person like Kevin Hart to say he's an ally and
Did he say he was
well, even if he doesn't, he said he's grown from his homophobic tweets. How have you grown? Like, because he built his platform, we all saw him grow to become this megastar, but we haven't seen him grow from the content that he made. Like he's not involved with the LGBTQ community, to my knowledge. He may be, but he doesn't show the actions that would necessarily reflect a person who has grown and matured and who has become a person that that certain community, that marginalized community, can come to for allyship.
But for me, I don't think Kevin Hart's trying to be an ally. I think Kevin Hart's just trying to move on with his life.
But the problem is you can't move on until you address what you said. Like saying sorry. No, but how did he address it? He said sorry. I can say sorry for whatever. That doesn't mean I mean it. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, just because you said sorry doesn't mean that you are truly apologetic. Like, let's take, for example, Michael Vick. Michael Vick, if you guys don't know, he did a dog ring and dogs are fighting. Part of his rehabilitation was becoming an ally to the animal society, such as he started working with animal groups and saying that dog fighting is wrong, and he went from a person who actively profited off of dog fighting to a person who became an advocate of like, yo, dogs are still like, dogs have their own souls. Basically, they're the type of people. They're not a type of people, but they basically have compassion for animals. Kevin Hart hasn't done any of that. He just said he's sorry. He said he's sorry back in like 2011. That's 8 years ago. So you mean to tell me from 2011 to 2019, all you have done is say sorry, and you haven't shown how you've grown? Like, we don't see LGBTQ representation in your movies. We don't see transgenders in your movie. Huh? No.
I think he more picks up projects.
No. Even like his last film, Night School, there was no. Well, okay, let's take that for example. A person who has grown, a person who has matured, a person who has said, "Hey, I'm a superstar. Let me lend my platform to others." He would have put a person of the LGBTQ community in that movie, and it would have been a big deal. Like, but since he hasn't grown, since he hasn't proven that he's grown, that's like, it's basically like throwing
his platform to put a woman of color comedian.
But he also
go to bat for her in that movie.
But that's not the point. We're not talking about Kevin Hart and his relationship with black women. We're talking about Kevin Hart and his relationship with the LGBTQ community, which is like fractured. There's like no communication there. Like, sure, Ellen is one person of the LGBTQ community, but at the same time, you have to think Ellen's been rich since like the 90s. So she can't necessarily relate to, I don't want to say ordinary, but the people who are of a lower socioeconomic status, who are a part of the LGBTQ community. Of course, Ellen, as she's also such a large figure in life, but she doesn't speak for everybody. So basically, actions are louder than words.
I still say I think he should just move. I don't think he should do the award show. I think he should just move on.
Well, he has a
new movie coming out.
Yeah, with Bryan Cranston, I believe. I don't know.
It's a January movie though.
Yep. We'll see. All right, moving on. The Plague of Jimmy Butler. So, have you been reading up on this, Morgan?
Little bit. Let's run people down on the mythos of Jimmy Butler.
Okay, so basically, if you guys don't know who Jimmy Butler is, Jimmy Butler is he's an NBA star. He started off at a JUCO in Texas. From there, he transferred to Marquette. From Marquette, he got drafted by the Chicago Bulls. With the Chicago Bulls, he became a star. Then he got disgruntled in Chicago, and he was traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And then he was disgruntled in Minnesota, and he was traded to the Philadelphia 76ers. And it recently came to light that Butler got into an argument with his coach, Brett Brown, over his role on the team and how he wants a bigger role. Basically, he was saying that the Philadelphia 76ers should run the pick and roll offense traditionally more. But the only problem is their other superstar, Ben Simmons, they run it like an offset pick and roll, and they don't normally run it the way Butler runs it. And he had a few words for his coach. His coach came out and said, no, everything's Gucci. But yeah, so let me just see. So the problem, let me just read. This is an article from The Ringer. The problem for Philadelphia head coach Brett Brown is that it isn't as simple as dialing up more plays for Butler. Using one of Simmons or Embiid as a screener for Butler would take the ball out of their hands, and there isn't anywhere to put the other on the floor. No one has much space to operate with Simmons. The 76ers have tried to put Simmons in the dunker spot on the baseline to make the spacing work, but that still requires pinpoint passing from all involved. So basically, what Butler is suggesting for his team is that, put he wants to have a larger role, and this has been a common theme for Butler's his whole tenure in the NBA, starting from when he became that star in Chicago. And it just like I just feel like as a person who's an avid basketball fan, it feels like Butler thinks he's better than what he actually is. Like he's an amazing talent, he's an amazing player. I'm not taking that from him, but I feel like he believes he's on the LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, echelon of basketball when it's good to think that, but just like truthfully, statistically, even just from a leadership perspective, he isn't there because as a leader, you go in and do your job, like such as LeBron in LA. LeBron, even though he is seen as this polarizing figure, he's seen as immediately the leader of his team. He still has allowed his teammates to grow and try to flourish. And even when we look at Steph Curry and Golden State, he had to reduce his role when Kevin Durant came through. And even though Kevin Durant has become the two-time Finals MVP, it's still at the end of the day, Golden State is still Steph Curry's team, and that's just something that Butler, I feel like he hasn't quite comprehended yet.
Yeah. Interesting story right there.
All right, so next, have you heard about this hashtag Save Daredevil campaign?
I mean, that's what always happens. Some dies, they start a hashtag.
So this just goes to prove that people are ignorant. So
Yeah.
Disney has a streaming service coming out, I believe, in February or March. It's coming out I believe in the first quarter of this year.
Is it first quarter? I thought it was fourth quarter.
It could be. You could be right. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, it's probably later because we haven't heard anything since they announced it.
Well, no, we have the Loki series, the Falcon series, and the Charlotte Witch series coming out.
And if they're adding it should come out. If they do it right, it should come out with a bunch of new content and like the backlog of all of the Disney movies that they've made so far, and that would make probably one of the fiercest streaming services ever. However, what I will say about these Daredevil fans is, to be fair to them, what we'll talk about this more later on, probably later on, but the Young Justice series did come back because the fans wanted it so bad, and they just put it on their new streaming service. So that did work that one time, to be fair to them.
Yeah, no, I just feel like I don't think any of the Marvel Netflix shows are necessarily going away. They may be coming back in a different iteration, but they will still be there. Yeah, I just think and also it's Vincent D'Onofrio, that is the Kingpin. I'm messing up his name, but he was on there as well. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Marvel and Netflix will be if they will save it, because I know they're not going to save it through Netflix. So probably to be like a Young Justice thing, and they'll just come back on the Disney streaming service. Okay, and last but not least, Jerry Lorenzo, fellow HBCU alum, shout out to FAMU. His Nike Air Fear of God 1 Light Bone are releasing on January 12th. This is a highly coveted shoe. Of course, such as the Fair one that released last month in December. I failed to get a pair of those. I'm still kicking myself because the retail on those now on the secondary market is crazy. These are going to be even more crazy because They're not even coming out on the sneaker app, but they are coming through Bodega, Extra Butter, and the Oneness Frenzy app. So yeah, and that's about it. All right, so moving on, we're in the living room. So we have something important to talk about. Have you seen the video of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez dancing? Do you know anything about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez?
Name sounds weirdly familiar.
Okay, so she is the freshman congressman from the Bronx. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen this video. I may put it in the beginning of this podcast if you're watching on YouTube. But it's just very funny because AOC is from the Bronx and she's Puerto Rican and she has absolutely no rhythm. Now that that is
Can we just admit she's around too many white people? We just need to say it.
Hey, but okay, but whatever. So she was basically in college and she did a dance video. We've all done a lot of stupid stuff in college. Morgan, you're still in college, so I don't expect you to admit some of the stupid stuff that you have done. But so a video of her dancing came out, and of course the right wing, they were on it. They said, "Look at this silly freshman. That's not unprofessional." She went by a fake name. She went by Sandy. But the funny thing is, the people who are mad, they are still part of the same party who endorsed the candidate who said he sexually assaulted his women contestants on the show, who called Africa shithole countries, who up until a few weeks ago he called a member of Congress horseface. And so it's very weird to see a political party who toes the line of who's outright bigots or they're racist, and they clutch their pearls when they say, "Oh, look at her dancing." That's just kind of weird to me.
They get scared easily, man. You gotta be gentle. Gotta be gentle with these Republicans.
And speaking of outrage, Rashida Tlaib, who is the first Palestinian congresswoman, she recently said about President Trump, she was going to try to impeach that MFer, and many people were upset about this, especially on the right. Even a person who brought a Holocaust denier to the 2018 State of the Union address, he said that when the Republicans were in the House, they made a resolution that said, "Hey, we're not gonna cuss, we're not gonna do all that." And it's very refreshing to see that the Democratic Party have each other's back. When Nancy Pelosi was asked about this, she said, "That's not my words, but I don't care either way. And you, the media, wouldn't care if she was a man." So I find that very refreshing to see that during these very conflicted times in United States politics, the Democratic Party has each other's back. Do you have anything to add, Morgan?
Just that it's very good. I mean, this is a hard time. We're talking about next up. We're talking about the shutdown, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go right into that. Like this is a hard time. Like tomorrow, Trump's about to have his not a state of address. He's about to go on national TV and complain about how he doesn't have money for his mall.
Actually, I think that's tonight. I think it's tonight.
They said Tuesday.
Oh, okay. But I find that funny because when Obama wanted to talk about immigration reform, they outright denied him. But CNN and Fox, they automatically accepted him. So I find that interesting.
Yeah, but with this new thing coming, it's it's so ridiculous that the government is allowed to do this. It's ridiculous that they're allowed to just not pay individuals and they're still expected to go to work. And I've told multiple members of my family, if I was in the TSA right now, I would not be showing up for work. I would not. You couldn't get me to go to work. I'd shut. Me and my friends would shut down. DIA be shut down. Nobody's going nowhere till I get my paycheck. No other company gets to pay people based on IOUs. So why is the government allowed to do it? That's my question right there.
Okay, so we just jumped right into the shutdown. So if you guys do not know, if you are listening overseas, I've looked at the stats. Shout out to everybody in Australia who are checking us out. But so the United States is in day 17 of the forgo federal government shutdown, which means certain levels of the federal government are completely shut down. I believe by next week, SNAP, which is the food stamp, I don't want to call it a company, the food stamp division of the United States government is shut down. HUD, the Housing Urban Department, that has run out of money. The National Park Service has upped their entrance fee just to cover the necessarily park maintenances. But yeah, like Morgan said, TSA, which is our airport security, they are technically not getting paid, and there has been an increase of people calling out and saying they're just not coming in. And I really don't blame them, just because the government solution for the shutdown was to work. Like, let's say you have like a landlord, like you were supposed to like paint for them or something, or like mow the grass basically, or clean the gutters, which is all that physical labor is great for like the summertime, but it's like the dead of winter and like grass isn't growing. It doesn't. And
I have to work more now because you can't figure out that nobody wants a wall. That's not okay with that. If you're someone in the TSA, what the government's basically telling you is, on top of showing up every day, going to work, doing your job, watching for terrorists, trying to protect people, working in a job that's basically just a magic trick. You have to go home and clean the gutters and work outside and outdoor work that you might not be trained to do or know how to do because we can't figure out how to pay you because we're children. That's what you're
well,
telling me.
well, there was a CR, there was a CR written. The House approved it. The Senate, it didn't go to the Senate floor because Mitch McConnell knew that Donald Trump wouldn't sign it. But there was a bill sent to the Senate floor on December 21st, and it didn't get signed, and that's when the government shut down and ran out of money. It's very. We're going to get into the wall a little bit later, but Trump really, or actually, we can just talk about it now. So, with the wall was really just it was a metaphor to talk about immigration reform. And so during the
Hold on,
campaign,
hold on. I think Trump wanted the wall. He
well,
doesn't know what he
I
doesn't know the meaning of the word
I feel
America.
like I feel like a person I feel like a person of his age, of his stature, a person who has never been told no before. I feel like at first the wall was a metaphor, but because when he kept saying like, we're gonna build a wall, we're gonna build a wall, and and people like cheering for him, and so it became ingrained in his mind that in order for him to have a successful presidency, he has to build a wall. Now the crazy thing, see, the problem with this whole with Trump's whole presidency is that he's been um he's been kicking down he's been like kicking away when it comes to like budgeting and stuff that's very important to run the government. So it's just like oh, we'll sign a bill to give the government over for 6 months. When the 6 months comes, I want the wall. I want the wall. And that Senate and the House who are under GOP control, they were like, okay, cool. Okay, we'll just keep kicking it down the road, keep kicking it down the road. But finally, he was fed up. He saw Fox News one day. They called him a weak leader, and he said, I need my wall, and I need my wall now. And
so this is all their fault. If they had kept their mouth shut, we'd be fine.
And well, I don't know if he would be fine. He would have still wanted his wall. I just think that I don't know, but I think that just like the wall is his like signature. Like when you think of the Trump presidency and even the 2016 campaign, it was "Make America Great Again" and "Build a Wall." Those were his two campaign slogans. So when he has dug a hole for himself by like, and it's going to be interesting to see because this shutdown, he originally said that he will take all the blame for the shutdown, and it's also very interesting to see how much of a back that Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has started to grow. Suddenly he's like, yo, we're not giving you any money, when he originally wanted to give like $5 billion for the wall. But he's like, no, we're not giving you any money. And it's also interesting to see Mitch McConnell playing the just like an onlooker when he's leader of the Senate. And so it's very...
Isn't Mitch on his way out?
No, he gets voted for re-election in 2020, I believe. But it's very interesting to see such as where we're at in politics in this nation and how much of a figure that Trump is driving the Republican Party, because senators like Cory Gardner from Colorado is a purple state right now, but if this shutdown goes on much longer, he's going to have to come out. Senator Gardner already said that the shutdown needs to stop. He hasn't necessarily said Trump is wrong, but as the shutdown continues to go farther, it's going to look bad on everybody, not just the Republicans, but the Democrats as well, and Trump. And it's just like I was reading an article today, and it talked about how the earliest maybe the government could be open would be around Easter, which would be mid-April. And so people are not going to, and when you're waiting that long for like a paycheck, that's not good, and you're going to be upset, and not only the president, but everybody's going to have to take blame with that.
Yeah. So they definitely need to figure this out because it's ridiculous.
Yeah. All right, but enough of that. Moving on. So do you remember when Amazon delivered packages to your garage? I mean, to your house, to inside of your house?
Yeah, I remember that dumb idea.
So they have a new suggestion now. They are delivering your packages to your garage. How do you feel about that?
Look, I know Amazon is trying to get rid of these doorstep thieves, and it's very easy to steal because I've worked for UPS all winter break, and almost like most of my days, 60, maybe even 70% of the packages that we delivered were Amazon packages, on top of them having their own cars that were delivering Amazon packages. So I get that they think this is a huge problem, and it might be. But I think to a certain extent, we have to realize that there are certain problems we're not going to fix without compromising certain parts of our lives. Like, it's not going to work. Like, I guess the garage is a little bit better, except for most people leave their inside garage door open. And what if the person leaves the garage open and it's such a long takes so long for garages to open? Like just put it at the door. We'll take the risk and we'll deal with it because it's never been a problem. It's not like someone steals your package and Amazon just becomes the worst customer service
Well,
company in America.
you can have your package stolen though, so that would be the other thing. But
You
let
can
me
have it stolen, but they replace it.
we'll see. But okay, so I'll read this. Amazon is enabling Prime members in 37 select cities to accept deliveries in their garage. Amazon is integrating MyQ connected garage door opener technology from Chamberlain Group with Amazon Key to create Key for Garage. So basically, it's like a the Amazon, your deliverers will have like a universal key control that they will watch, that they will use to open up your garage. And your garage will have a unique code that they will have, and it will put your deliveries in there. Um, this is just another way Amazon is trying to take over the world and their world domination. This is just another step in that direction. I believe eventually everybody's going to do it. Everybody who has a garage in their house, they're going to sign up for this. Such as like that's just how society is, and it'll be another way that Amazon continues to have the world domination. And next, uh, have you heard of the rolling down 4K TV, Morgan?
I have not. What is that?
Okay, so real quick, I'm gonna just bring up this article. So LG is releasing a groundbreaking roll up TV, which is going on sale this year. So you remember uh you may be a little bit too old for this, but do you remember the overhead screens that you had in school that you would pull down and pull back up?
Alright.
Like the screens that you would pull down, like a white screen that you would pull down, and then they would.
Oh, those, yeah.
Okay, so basically, it's going to be a 4K TV that is like that. It's going to roll up. It's going, of course, it's going to be very expensive.
Oh, yeah.
But let me see here. Da da da. So it will basically just roll up while you are away from your house when you are not watching it. Um and so basically so the screen, so there will be a base, of course, with like the HDMI, all your plugins, so you won't have to worry about that. But from the base you will have a TV up. Your TV will come up and come down. And so you won't lose picture quality by and you and LG insists that you won't lose or sacrifice anything in terms of picture quality by picking a rollable display over one of the rigid standard OLED sets. So I'm trying to see the price. So okay, the wallpaper OLED TV, it starts at $8,000.
Yep, sounds about right. Look,
And this is just the base model. So if you get like special one with like add-ons and stuff, and so for now, LG is saying it will only be priced at a premium level when it hits retails in spring, so it'll be out in March. So if the government gets off a shutdown and you get your tax money back, maybe you just want to blow it out on a new 4K TV, rolling TV.
I mean, 4K TVs are, they say they're the future, but they're being adopted kind of slowly. But photo technology is something that I think the tech industry sees as its next big thing. You saw announcements of foldable like phones at the last CES, which is happening right now. Keep my eye on that if anything interesting happens. But I think the the thing that people really want is like they want because we're at this time where a lot of people are giving up their phones for their laptops for like phones and iPads and stuff like you listen to people who have kids like you listen to people who tech is like a huge part of their life and you assume it's a big part of their kids life and one of the people at Rooster Teeth was talking about like yeah my daughter like lost her laptop for like a good month and she just didn't notice. And like we're at this part where people are just really focusing more on tablets and phones. And the offshoot of that is like always picture quality and not being able to see as much. And people want big screens but small phones. And I think the tech industry sees foldable technology as the next big push in order to give people both the huge screens they want with the compact and portability that people just desire so much.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. All right, so last thing in the living room, is Apple in trouble? Have you heard about the recent problems that Apple has had lately, Morgan?
Yeah, those of you guys who don't know, Apple has been their sales of their phones have been declining a little bit, and they're having trouble making as much money. Which is why you see things like them getting rid of the aux cord in their phones. What they're trying to do is lower the cost of their producing their devices while raising the price so that they're making more money on the core audience. Because basically, what Apple's hitting right now is that Apple has hit everybody who wants an Apple product at this point. Like everybody who wants an iPhone right now probably has an iPhone. And so it's very hard to get new markets in that going. And but I mean, again, this is just sort of like it's sort of like corporate upset where like they're like, oh my god, and they make things sound really upsetting, but when you look at it, it's not as upsetting. Like Apple just on the price of just on the money they made from selling just their phones made more money than Microsoft last year. Like there might be going down, but it's still billion. You're talking billions of dollars. It's not really. They're not hurting that much. They're gonna be fine.
Well, I will counter with that just because Apple will miss its quarterly revenue goal by as much as 10%, and so it's a rare adjustment and an unprecedented miss in Apple's predictive capability, and one that has seen many questions of Tim Cook's overall approach. And I will say, the problem with the iPhone isn't
Is that it doesn't have aux cords? Yes, we've all been saying this for a
no,
long
that's
time.
not what. No, that's not the problem. The problem with the iPhone is that it's not innovative enough, and such as like the Palm and the BlackBerry and the Razor and the Sidekick and all of the kings of mobile devices, they've all encountered this and they either sink or swim. And I feel like this is an important part in Apple's history because yes, they have saturated the market with home theater sound system, surround sound, computers, basically everything you can possibly want. But they have focused their main product is something that is not innovative, such as the iPhone has been different from the iPhone. I have an iPhone 8 Plus. Essentially, it's basically the same phone as my iPhone 4 that I had, my iPhone 4S that I had. So it's basically the only thing is gotten bigger. It's faster. But when it comes to just innovation and just creativity and something new, Apple isn't bringing that, and I feel like that is the key for Apple moving forward. In order for them to continue to be the top, to continue to produce the top mobile device on the planet, they're going to need more creativity. They're going to need innovation in order for them to stay relevant.
Well, I think this is something that the larger tech community is going to start running into, in that our technology isn't making as much leaps and bounds as it used to. Like when we look, like when Marcus, when you and I look back at like our childhood 5, 6, 7 years ago, the technology back then was so different, and the amount of leaps and bounds we've made over it is amazing. But I think, and I was listening to this one podcast on YouTube, and they started mentioning that we're probably reaching like sort of like a technological like plateau. And this happens with a lot of industries where like you create, and then you sort of reach sort of like an end point. Like we came to a point to like, what else can we really do with these phones? Like we made them waterproof. We gave them amazing cameras. We give them better battery life. And at this point, really the only things that the iPhone can really add on to is better battery life and more power. And that aren't marketable. Those aren't marketable features unless you're talking to a really, really hardcore audience. Like you don't sell a casual audience that Apple focuses on the fact that your phone's going to run 5 seconds faster. That's not something that they're going to do necessarily. So I think going into the future, this is going to be a huge problem for marketing, just in general. Like, what do we market about this product? It's the same one. It's just faster.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I also do think it's innovation and creativity. But we're done with the living room. Let's move on to the kitchen. Quick praise report, shout out, call it whatever you want. Blessings. Uh Cyntoia Brown is granted clemency after serving 15 years in prison for killing a man who bought her for sex. So a little bit about Cyntoia Brown. She was 16 years old in Tennessee, and a man bought her for sex. She was underage at the time, and in order to run for her life, to flee, she shot the man in the back of his head. Um, Let me see here. Uh, so she will be. She went to jail when she was. She went to prison when she was 16 years old. She's now 30, and leaving governor of Tennessee, Bill Haslam, said it was time for her to get justice. And also a push for this was she had a big celebrity push, such as from Rihanna, Kim Kardashian West, just to name a few. So yeah, just shout out to her. All right, moving on. So I don't know. We're going to be talking about this a little bit later, but Chance the Rapper slash enabler. So I'm trying to find. Give me a second. Yep. Let me see here. Okay, so Chance the Rapper, he said, and I want to get his quote right. I don't want to misquote him, because he said it was okay. So Chance the Rapper, making a song with R. Kelly was a mistake. Rapper admits he regrets 2015 collaboration. Somewhere in Paradise, an interview showing a final episode of Surviving R. Kelly. I hope this thing doesn't. No. Okay, cool. It's not playing. All right, so if you guys don't know, both Chance the Rapper and R. Kelly are from Chicago. So, during Chance the Rapper's Lollapalooza set in 2014, held in the Windy City, which is Chicago, he brought out Kelly as a surprise guest. He said, "Make some noise for the Pied Piper of R&B." Morgan, do you know who the Pied Piper is?
Yes.
Who is the Pied Piper?
It is a German fairy tale about a man who uses a flute to kidnap all the kids in the world. Did he really say this on stage and he didn't get slapped?
He did say this. So, during an interview with Jamila LeMahieu of Cassius, he said making a song with R. Kelly was a mistake. At the time, it wasn't even present in my mind that people could feel any type of way about his presence on a track of mine. I think for a long time, I was only able to understand R. Kelly's situation and presence in the world when it comes down to his trial and his accusations and his accusers as a victim. I don't know if that's because I'm from Chicago, or because he made great music, or because he is a black man. We're programmed to really be hypersensitive to black male oppression, but black women are exponentially a higher oppressed and violated group of people, and just in comparison to the whole world. Maybe I didn't care because I didn't value the accuser's stories because they were black women. Usually, in words that get in trouble for S like this on their magnitude of celebrity, it's light skinned women or white women. That's when it's a big story. I've never really seen any pictures of R. Kelly's accusers. Morgan, tell me how you feel about that.
There's a quote from a book called Their Eyes Were Watching God. And from a grandmother, and she said, black women are the mules of this world. And throughout the story, you learn about just how much harder black women have to do it. And they do have double jeopardy. As someone who sits in education classes and has to hear these things, they do have it harder than a lot of people. What I'm hearing from Chase the Rapper right now is somebody who's trying to rethink how they view the world. Because to a certain extent, you understand what he's saying. Like, as a black man,
No. We're not. Oh, no. I don't agree. I don't agree with Chance the Rapper at all, because Chance the Rapper said the only way he cares about women, if in a situation like that, is if they're light skinned or they're white women. I don't agree with none of that. That's not that. That is what he said. Morgan, I can read the. He said no. This is what he said. We're programmed to be really hypersensitive to black male oppression. He added, but black women are exponentially a higher oppressed and violated group, just in comparison to the whole world. Maybe I didn't care because I didn't value the accuser stories because they were black women. He said that. His words. No. Okay. As Chance the Rapper is a grown man. You can't. Yes. Okay. Yes. No. Chance the Rapper has grown up in privilege. He's known the type of privilege that I will never experience, just because his father was in the city's politics. His mom was like a college professor. His father was like a mayor's aide. So he's had access to tables and to buildings that we've had to call and to fight for. What Chance the Rapper saying is completely ignorant, and it completely disregards all the accusers, because he's saying unless they are light, I don't care about black women unless they're light skinned or they're white. That is essentially what he's saying.
He's reevaluating that, is what he's saying.
Why are you putting words in his mouth? You are putting words in his mouth. No, I'm looking at what. I'm not looking past his words. If you want, this isn't a song. I'm not looking for metaphors and similes. This is a statement that you said in an interview.
This is metaphors and similes.
No, Morgan, you're copying out for him. He's saying in a statement, I will read this again. I didn't value the accuser's stories because they were black women. He said that. Chance the Rapper.
We are programmed to not value.
No, Morgan, you are putting words in his mouth. He literally
programming before.
Okay, Morgan, he said we're programmed to really be hypersensitive to black male oppression. Black male oppression. That's two different things he's talking about. He's not talking about black male oppression and black women oppression. He's talking about black male oppression. So what he's saying is we look at R. Kelly as a criminal because he's automatically a black man. No, I'm going to tell you. You send me I saw that video of R. Kelly back when I was like 11 or 12. That was disgusting. Him peeing on a girl was just nasty. You can't.
Why is he still here, Marcus?
This.
Kept him around.
No. It's not my generation. I don't support myself. It's not. We're in the same generation. We're literally in the same generation. What are you talking about?
I was in middle school. I wasn't listening to R. Kelly.
I wasn't listening to R. Morgan, you saying I can't believe I can fly as your 5th grade continuation. What are you talking about? Yes, you did.
I'm not saying anything.
Yes, you did. Morgan, this is what I'm saying. It's not like I see what Chance the Rapper is saying, but at the same time, he has to see the error in his ways and what he's saying as a person with, such as if we go back to Kevin Hart, he's saying the same things that he's saying. Like, yo, he's trying to play the victim in something that he's not a victim to. Like, and he didn't even apologize for making a song with R. Kelly. He said making a song was a mistake. And he said, maybe I relate to R. Kelly because he's from Chicago. And he's looking at it on like a national scale. But there have been like local stories in Chicago of R. Kelly picking up young girls like going to like the middle schools and picking up girls, and then the high schools picking up girls, which is like disgusting and nasty.
Yeah, there has been. But we also saw a video about it when I was in 2nd grade. And he was still walking around here.
Okay, well, that's just... And also, it literally goes back... What you're saying and what Chance the Rapper is saying are essentially the same things. R. Kelly is walking around a free man. Chance the Rapper says, I didn't value the accuser stories because they were black women. He's basically saying the statement of the jury that looked at R. Kelly back in 2001. He's saying what society basically feels about black women because they're often disregarded and they have to work 3 times as hard as everybody else just to get the same benefits and privileges. So he's saying the same thing that you're saying, that he didn't, well, you're not saying this, but he's saying he didn't value their stories. And that's the key in all this. He's saying that I didn't value the accuser stories because they were black women.
He wasn't the only one who didn't value it.
Okay, but we're not talking about other people. We're talking about Chance the Rapper. Chance the Rapper said
just a small portion of what.
No, but I'm saying no, but there's a whole series about this. And Chance the Rapper was the person who
Kelly do this.
No, and they all need to be arrested.
They do, and we as
So okay, this is what I'm saying. So is Chance the Rapper an enabler of this then? Should Chance the Rapper be arrested?
An enabler of this.
This is what I'm saying, but okay. The song that he made with R. Kelly back in 2014. In 2014, everybody knew about R. Kelly, him, and the sex ring, and the marriage with Aaliyah, and all that other stuff when he was messing around with underage girls. So him continuing to enable R. Kelly, does that mean Chance the Rapper goes to jail? Because that's enabling R. Kelly. He gave R. Kelly a guest prize at his set at Lollapalooza, which means R. Kelly got a check for that. Does that mean so Chance the Rapper continued to inflate R. Kelly's pockets? Does that mean Chance the Rapper goes to jail?
Continues to inflate those pockets. The people who still bought his music, the people who still went to those places, the people who still followed him.
Okay.
Even after there was a video, he has been supported this whole time, especially by the black community.
Okay, no. How are you saying especially by the black community? You know people who listen to R. Kelly still?
I've never seen a white person listen to R. Kelly.
But you don't even hang out with white people, so this doesn't even matter.
Okay.
You're like, no. I'm saying, Morgan, you're talking about people who you don't hang around. You don't hang around white people, so you don't see them listen to R. Kelly.
Primary R&B artists.
How are they just as enabling of R. Kelly if they're not the ones creating content with them? That's a totally different level. No. But we're not talking about other artists. We're talking about Chance the Rapper right now.
Talking about R. Kelly and what he did.
No, we're not talking about R. Kelly. We're talking about Chance the Rapper. See, you're no. You're trying to look at this whole thing. We're talking about one statement. No.
Because the whole thing is what's important.
So basically,
one part of one.
So basically, is it one part? Because this is what you're saying. Chance the Rapper, this is my thing with Chance the Rapper. He just jumped in front of a bullet that wasn't necessarily for him.
That's just him being bad at PR. That doesn't make this whole thing important about him.
No, but
it's part of one cog.
See, but you're not looking at the overall impact of Chance the Rapper, who is the church boy, who has the fiance, who has the child, who appears to be the family man, who appears to be the everyday working man. And for a person like Chance the Rapper, like
the past few years, making sure R. Kelly had albums on this.
No, but we're talking about Chance the Rapper. We're not talking about R. Kelly. We're talking about Chance the Rapper and his comments to
supporting R. Kelly making one song.
But that one song was enough, because let's think about it. Chance the Rapper and R. Kelly, those fans don't intersect.
What's the name of the song?
I will look it up. I was just looking at it.
Yeah, what's the name of the song?
It's called Somewhere in Paradise.
When's the last time you heard that song?
Morgan, it doesn't matter the last time I heard that song, because I'm not a Chance the Rapper or R. Kelly fan. So I don't listen to either. But this is what I'm saying. Chance the Rapper's fans and R. Kelly's fans do not intersect at all. So with Chance the Rapper exposing his audience to R. Kelly's audience, that's basically giving R. Kelly a bigger platform that he didn't have, that he necessarily did not need.
And I'm just saying R. Kelly already had a platform.
Oh, okay. And Chance the Rapper made it bigger.
Yeah, but it's not going to be a lot. That's not even one of Chance the Rapper's good songs. It's not even a popular song.
And also, Chance the Rapper also has a history of hanging with sexual assaulters and predators as well.
Name one.
I'm actually looking for it right now. Exactly. As we speak. No. We're staying here until.
As a matter of fact, one thing we need to talk about. As we were speaking, Marvel dropped the new trailer for Captain Marvel. I watched it. It was okay. It was just a lot of cut-ups of what we've already seen and what we've already done. It seemed like they were trying to play up the comedy a bit more, which I guess is a good thing. I guess if this is more of a comedic movie, it will be a better experience. But I am not exactly. I don't know. I'm not exactly sold on this movie.
Okay, all right. His name? No. Done with that. Don't care. We're all gonna see Captain Marvel anyway. Rapper Tokyo is being accused of rape. If his name sounds familiar to you, it's because he was featured on Juke Jam, featuring Justin Bieber by Chance the Rapper on Coloring Book. And Tokyo, in 2011, posted the tweet, "We low-key rape women." And also, Chance the Rapper has been known with Eli and Eric Reneko, both of which who have been accused of sexual assault. So, when you see smoke, there's usually fire.
So you're saying that Chance the Rapper is a pedophile and a rapist?
All I'm saying, when you see, okay, I'm not saying, no. I said, when you see smoke, you see fire. Okay, Morgan, let me ask you a question. So,
for these people, or he is one himself.
Oh, this is what I'm saying. He's an enabler. He is an enabler.
That's what you said.
No, he's an enabler. Okay, let's take 3 of your friends. Let's say 5 of your friends. Let's say 4 of those friends, excluding you, they've all killed a person. What? And I know they've all killed a person. What does that make me think about you? That's like, oh, Morgan's a cool one. No, I'm assuming you kill people too.
Not think that Chance the Rapper is a rapist.
I'm just okay. If it clocks, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying he's no. I'm saying he's an enabler of sexual. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying he's an enabler. Uh, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was absent for the first time ever. Do you know who she is, Morgan?
Yeah.
So she was absent. She had like surgery and like a clot in her lung removed, but she's doing better. She's just resting. This is actually her first arguments that she's ever missed on the Supreme Court. So, well wishes to her and hope she gets better. And we already talked about the wall trip. We're moving on to the dining room. We spent enough time on R. Kelly. It's pretty clear Morgan is for R. Kelly and his freedom, and I am against R. Kelly and everything he stands for. So we're moving past that. Have you read this BuzzFeed article? And it talks about how millennials are the first burnout generation.
What do they mean by burnout?
So I'm pulling it up right now. How millennials, it was by Ann Helen Peterson, and it's called How Millennials Became the Burnout Generation. I couldn't figure out why small, straightforward tasks on my to-do list felt so impossible. The answer is both more complex and far simpler than I expected. Millennials love to complain about other millennials giving them a bad name. But as I fumed about this 27-year-old's post office anxiety, I was in a deep cycle of tendency developed over the last 5 years that I've called to come Aaron Paralysis. I put something on my weekly to-do list and it roll over 1 week to the next haunting me. None of these tasks were that hard. Getting knives sharpened, taking boots to the cobbler, blah, blah, blah. We're not fakeless teens anymore. We're grown adults, and the challenges we face aren't fleeting, but systematic. So basically, do you experience burnout a lot, or you probably aren't there yet? Are you there?
Kind of hard to say. I do think our generation is the first generation that has had a full scope of the like level and the amount of problems this world has. I think that contributes to what like our like people are saying millennials don't actually do stuff, but like if you spend enough time like watching the internet, what you notice is that it's all problems. Like you look at any industry and you just see just a list of problems. You look at video games, you got microtransactions, bad pay, you got esports, which is a whole nother problem. You look at the chicken farms and there's like bad pay, bad industry. You look at global warming, it becomes overwhelming to the point that I think that our generation is the first generation to just realize or just think to themselves, we're never gonna do it, and we're just the first generation to give up. I think essentially that's what's happening. Is like our generation is the first generation that just goes, it's just not gonna happen. We're never gonna be in a good world. And I think that's sort of what people see.
Okay, so here's a quote. But as millennials enter into mid-adulthood, that prognosis that has been proven false. Financially speaking, most of us lag far behind where our parents were when they were our age. We have far less say, far less equity, far less stability, and far, far more student debt. The greatest generation had the Depression and the GI Bill. Boomers had the golden age of capitalism. Gen X had deregulation and trickle-down economics. And millennials, we got venture capital, but we've also got the 2008 financial crisis, the decline of the middle class and the rise of the 1%, and the steady decay of unions and stable full-time employment. And that is something that has been very hard, such as finding full-time employment. That's been something more difficult than I thought would be. And also the decay of unions. That hasn't just because like in my field I work in media, so it hasn't been like a thing, but it does. It does hurt. It does hurt when just like some of mine, not my coworkers, but just like across the field, we're not all like paid the same. Our raises are different, like such as my raise is significantly lower than somebody else's raise who has the same type of job as me. And so I do feel that. And as American businesses become more efficient, better at turning a profit, the next generation needed to be positioned to compete. We just couldn't show up with the diploma expected to get and keep a job that would allow us to retire at 55. And a marked shift from the generations before, millennials need to optimize ourselves to be the very best workers possible. Now, I don't know if you've been in a situation like that, but I do feel that way. I do get to work like early. I do go to work earlier than what I normally need to do, and I do try to do all the work and all the tasks I need to do in above average time, such as so that when I do have idle time, I do feel bad. It's just like, okay, I've done all of this stuff at work. Let me start on this other task, even though I know it's not gonna happen for a few months. Let me just get it out the way now, so I can say, hey, I've done this, this, and this. This is why I deserve this, this, and this.
Yeah, it's just gotta hang in there.
Yeah, but that's it for the dining room. Grand opening, grand closing. It's on me this week, or is it you? Is it me?
You.
It's me. So I didn't really have anything, but I'd just like to say have a great 2019. Be aware of everybody. Treat everybody with respect. Show everybody respect. Yeah, that's about it. Once again, thank you for listening. Schedule this week. So today is Monday. Tuesday, there will be a special edition of the Metro Meta podcast. Super Flow Bros drops on Wednesday. We have a fantastic flow dropping on Thursday. And on Friday, we have 2 reviews. We'll be reviewing our Aquaman review and our first review of the first 3 episodes of Young Justice will be out on Friday. So until then, make sure you are following me on all socials at One Marcus Flowers. Follow Morgan at all socials at Metro Meta 26. Follow 26 and Glencoe on Twitter at 26 and G. Follow us on Instagram at 26 and Glencoe. Like our Facebook page on 26 and Glencoe Media Network, and follow us on YouTube at 26 and Glencoe Media Network. We also have a link tree that will be on my bio, Morgan's bio, all of our social bios, so that you can all find us in one place. Morgan, everything they have. Alright, until next time. Peace.
Maybe we could waste time. Maybe we could waste time. Now she found me in the wrong. Thanks to me, bro. Baby, come and sit your ass down now. Come get down, go raw. Baby, you're a god. Baby, we could dance off alone in the house song, moonlight song. Make us both sad now. It goes on and on and on and on and on. You can take your pants off. I get down now. You can make me have some. Pull her ass out. Say it's just a rap song. Put her ass out. She can smoke a